made the decision to study for a PhD at the end of my master's degree in Research University. I had just completed a master's in environmental chemistry and I enjoyed my research so much. I felt like there was a lot more to learn, and so the PhD was just a logical next step for me. And so I began to look for opportunities in the field of environmental sciences. So I decided to apply to Ulster University because it was just like a stroke of luck that I had this research topic advertised by Ulster University which aligned with my research interest. My first degree was in marine biology, and having done an environmental chemistry master's, I was interested in topics that had to do with environmental pollution and how these affected aquatic animals. And so that actually aligned perfectly with the topic. It was advertised by Ulster University and I applied, and I was lucky to be selected as a candidate to do the research. So my PhD was funded by the Vice Chancellor's Research Scholarship, and this scholarship was made available for international students to come to Ulster University to study for a PhD. I competed for the scholarship and applied for it, and the scholarship was attached to my research topic, and I was selected to do the research, and that came with the funding which enabled me to carry on my research for 3 years, getting monthly stipends. And that was amazing because as you do research you also want to consider it a job, and so that was more like a monthly income for me. During my PhD, I had the opportunity to do a significant amount of teaching. This would usually start as a demonstration opportunity where you help with practicals. I did my research in the School of Geography and Environmental Sciences, and I also had the opportunity to be supervised by a professor in biomedical sciences, and so I had a lot of opportunity with lab work, teaching with demonstration as well, and these were immense opportunities that enabled me to start as a teaching associate after my PhD. And so these opportunities were always there for PhD students: teaching, learning, mentorship, and supervision as well. A typical day for me in my PhD would start with lab work. This could be before the supervisory meeting or after a supervisory meeting. I was always in the lab, and so I could just go into my supervisor's office for a quick chat because we ran an open door policy, but I would have a conversation about my experiments, go into the lab, I would set up my experiments, which would usually take 4 hours, and within that time I could go into my office and do some writing, read a paper, or maybe go for a coffee with friends, return to the lab, finish up my experiments. If I had to do some demonstration within that time, I also do that to get more teaching experience and also get paid for that, which is great. So these would be the major components of my days. Other days would have maybe training opportunities, or maybe attending a conference or presenting in one of the research opportunities presented by Ulster University for PhDs to come together and share knowledge. And so that's what my typical day would be like. For me, starting the PhD, I found that it was quite different from the structure I had in a typical master's degree where you go for lectures and you had to write exams. For a PhD, you needed a bit more discipline, self-motivation and self-leadership. But the structure at Ulster University, particularly in the School of Geography where I did my research, was amazing. My supervisors would have meetings with me every 2 weeks to monitor my progress. The postgraduate tutor was great in checking and seeing how well we were doing in terms of our professional development and how well we were engaging with the doctoral college and the research development program, because all these were put in place to help us get the right skills. I also found that as I went deeper into my research, some of the skills I didn't have, the opportunities were there to do the trainings, and so there was a lot of training need assessment with every year of my research, and the fact that I had to produce a progress report every year made me accountable not just to myself but also to the doctoral college in terms of my progression. So all these milestones were put in place to make sure that the PhD was well managed and the career progress was measurable. The doctoral program has been amazing. I think more of the structure of this was introduced in the second year of my PhD, and it was amazing in the fact that there were a lot of trainings available, and we had control over the times we were available to attend each one. So it was dynamic, it was fluid, it was not set in like a week where you just had to go. It was arranged across the year. So even if you couldn't attend, say in March, there were other opportunities later in the year, and so I could plan my development, access these diverse amounts of trainings. I remember doing trainings on problem solving, because it got to a point in my research where I had a good understanding of my research, but there were some bottlenecks in terms of how I manage my time, how I face these new presented challenges. I had trainings in writing, and I realized the kind of writing I was doing at the first year was not the same as what I was doing towards the end of my second, third year, and all of these resources were available. So I was always going to check what trainings were available, put them in my diary and go for them, and these enabled me to navigate the hurdles of the PhD journey. And so I think the program has been amazing. Just like every PhD student, I came into the PhD with the mind to focus on my research and do well. But my supervisors, Dr. Olanrewaju and Professor James Dooley, gave me a different understanding of what research was all about, and enabled me to open myself to the opportunities the doctoral college and Ulster University presented. For my first year, even when my experiments were still being crystallized, I was encouraged to go for conferences and see how other people would present, even design a poster. And so that exposure was good for me. And so when the Ulster University week of doctoral research was introduced and we all came together to present, I had some good experience with that. I enjoyed presenting my research. Luckily, I got an award for that, which was quite encouraging as well. And then I was able to begin to apply to all external conferences. I went to a conference with the Society for Applied Microbiology, where I was given a platform presentation opportunity and also got an award for that. And I think that started with that culture of encouraging students to just go out there, see yourself more than just a student, but a researcher, and begin to own your research journey. I also had the opportunity to compete in the first 3MT competition here at Ulster University. That was different for me because even though I enjoyed talking about my research, I had to take out all the complex words, all the buzzwords, and for me that was more of a communication training and how to be concise and effective. And even though by opportunities and trainings I was able to win the competition, but I think that has stayed with me because I have been able to use that every single day going forward. I also had opportunities to volunteer with external societies, and those were my escapes from the hurdles of the PhD and the down moments when the experiments were not working well. I always had these opportunities to do other activities that were exciting and also kind of gave me fulfillment. And I think that was also crucial throughout the journey because the PhD is not a marathon, it's not a sprint. The PhD is not a sprint, it's more of a marathon, and so you need all these other activities going alongside the research to keep you motivated. I also got the opportunity to go to the Cumberland Lodge conference. I think that was even sponsored by the doctoral college. The conference was about life beyond the PhD, and I think that conference was instrumental to how I thought about my career path after the PhD. It gave me more opportunities to explore beyond just academia, and I felt like that kind of reinforced how I looked at the skills I had acquired as a PhD student and how I could transfer this if I were to go into industry or even stay in academia. When I consider the benefits of the PhD, I think it's all down to the opportunities and how I try to embrace these opportunities. From first year through to the end of my PhD, there were opportunities to present, be it in a meeting with my supervisors where you have to explain and justify your experimental design, or even give a conference presentation. I think these enabled me to work on my communication skills, to improve how I present, how I design graphics as well. When I go to conferences and I see how people design amazing presentations, I take a cue from that and use that to improve my work. And I find that I'm doing that at my job in industry as well, making presentations. Also, teamwork has been crucial to my work to date, and I learned a lot of that collaborating with my colleagues, discussing experiments, how we bring our different expertise to design a project and work together, and seeing how everyone has something to offer. And that has also enabled me to bring that into industry. I work now in tech, even though my research was in life sciences, but I see the differences I have brought into my team, and I got that through the PhD experience as well. I think one other thing the PhD gave me was the ability to research, and that's what the research is all about, to go into the unknown. And that has made me bold and confident, even when I get projects that I have never done anything in that area before. At least I know where to start. I wouldn't go to Google all the time, but I knew, and I know that I can take something from scratch and create something out of it. I can continue to research and seek knowledge or seek help where you need help or experience. I was always going to my supervisor, so now I know how to go to my line manager whenever I needed help, and that confidence has been instilled in me through the grades that comes with doing research. A PhD is rigorous by nature, and so it gives you the strength to forbear even difficult challenges at work. And I think that stays with you whether you are a researcher or you move to industry. Also, the ability to create something for yourself, challenge your own ideas. In the first years of my PhD, I would say yes to every idea that comes from my supervisor, but I found in my third year I was actually saying more no than yes, because I was now an original thinker. I knew what could work. I could also manage time, because then you know how much time you have to do certain experiments. So proper time management, project management, self-management. I learned how to manage my mental health. I learned how to pace myself, and I've taken that to my current work in industry, when to shut down, when to work and keep working. That is crucial as a balanced person, and all that comes, you wouldn't think you would learn all that doing a PhD, but you need to do that well to succeed doing a PhD, and I think that has been part of the amazing experience of the PhD for me.